Hello. I'm not sure if you know who it is today, but it is Verna from Drayton Valley Library here with Crafty Kids for you. I am actually displaying our lovely crafts that we're going to work on today in honor of St. Patrick's Day. We are going to make ourselves a lovely beard and a leprechaun hat. Now you don't have to make yours quite as tall as mine, it ended up quite tall. But the things you're going to need are some colored paper. As you can see, you're going to need some orange for your beard, at least 2 sheets, one for the back of the beard and then another one or two, and even if you have scraps, it's really great for the curls of your beard. You're going to need some green for your hat. You're probably going to need 2, 3, maybe 4 sheets of green to get this done. You're going to need also some yellow. Do I have yellow? Oh, yes, I do. Some yellow right for there. And some brown for your buckle. I don't know where my brown went. Anyways, that's okay. The other thing you're going to need is some glue to put it together. You're going to need some ribbon or some string to tie the beard on. You're going to need some scissors to get everything cut out. You will need a pencil or a pen or a marker or something for some of the drawing and tracing involved. You will also want something round, a round shape. Like I suggest try a bowl on your head. If you can find a bowl that fits your head, that's going to be ideal for this. And then a ruler may also help a little bit with getting the hat working right. And a hole punch. The hole punch is going to help here with your getting your beard together. And those are things you need. Now, as I mentioned, I think I forgot something, so I'm going to go find it. I will be right back. Okay, so let's get started with the beard then. So to do this, I found when I took a piece of paper and I went across my face, if you see how wide the paper needs to be to get almost to your ears, that would be a good width. Just kind of measure it. Now I'm using some scrap here, so I'm going to cut off that funny end. Okay, so for me, this width of paper is pretty good. So now I'm going to gently fold it in half, not really making a real crease, but I just want to cut out my beard shape and get it pretty much to the same size on each side. So just cut yourself kind of a roundish beard shape. You decide how long you would like your beard to be. All right, so here's about what I've got. And now we're going to cut a little dip in here to help it fit underneath your nose. Okay, so just a little something like so. Okay, and now we're going to also cut, I don't know if you could tell when I was wearing the beard before, but there was a little space for the mouth. So we're going to also do that, which is not too hard to do if you've got it in half. So think like what's the space between your nose and the top of your mouth there to give about that much room before you start cutting out the mouth part. Okay, so it's not really a whole lot of space. And as you could see, my mouth was pretty much covered up, so don't worry too much about the shape and the size and all that. So something like so. All right, we're going to get a lot of curls on top of it. So not to worry, it doesn't have to be a perfect shape. Okay, so now we've got our basic beard background. Next thing you're going to do, take some orange paper. Scraps is ideal for this. And we're just going to cut out some strips. And again, this is not particular. You can just be kind of, use what you got. Okay, so I'd say I did like maybe about 1 centimeter wide or so. The length, maybe give it about 10 centimeters. It's all right if they're close to the same length, all your strips, because unless you want your beard to be a bit more scraggly, which you can do that too. So you're going to need quite a few strips, and I'm not going to cut them all out for you right here, right now, because you don't want to watch all that. It'll take a while. When I made my beard, I was watching a movie at the same time, so that works well. Now you're going to curl your beard pieces. So for this, you get yourself a pencil or a pen, and you're going to wrap the strip around there. Wrapping, okay, and then take it off and you'll notice it's got a curl. Now, when I did this, I found this wasn't quite as curly as I wanted it to be, so I'll just put this down a little bit and you can see better. I just did it by hand, so I kind of just got a little start there. I made it a bit tighter, and then I just curled it up. Keep rolling and rolling and rolling. And then you will see it is a much tighter curl. If that's too tight for you, then you can always just give it a little stretch. That looks pretty good. There we go. So that is ready to be attached now onto your beard. So you're just going to glue them. Glue them on. Mine, I was a little bit organized when I did it, but it really doesn't matter. However many you want, you just have a good time and glue them on. Okay, so the last little thing I'm going to show you about the beard is where you're going to put the holes so that you can tie the ribbon on. I suggest reinforcing it, and you can do that with just a little scrap of construction paper. So by reinforce, I mean if you take a little scrap here and you fold it over top, you can glue it on if you want, but you don't really have to. And then put your hole in it before you tie your ribbon or your string in. That's just going to help it not to rip quite so fast because it is just paper. So another thing I was thinking when I was wearing the beard is if you do plan to wear it for an extended amount of time, you may want to make the backdrop of it out of craft foam. You have to practice and see if the ribbon, the paper ribbons are gonna glue on nicely onto the craft foam. I didn't practice that, but I did notice it could cut into you a little bit if you wear it for too long. It could get annoying. So that's the basics of the beard. Let's move on and make our leprechaun hat. So this one was a little bit trickier, but I think I found a method that works all right. So I went to look for a bowl that fit my head, and I found a bowl that was too big and a bowl that was too small. So then I found a plate that was in between the size of those things. So I'm going to use this plate to help me figure out the size. So we're going to get the top. So it's basically in 3 pieces. So there's the top of the hat, which is a circle, which actually has, I don't know if you can see inside there, but there's little tabs on the side of the circle. Okay, then there is, sorry, all around the sides of the hat, which as you can see for my head was big enough that I needed to have a couple pieces of paper. I actually used up some scrap doing this. And then there is the third piece, which is the rim here. So you can't see this so well because I've hidden it underneath this ribbon, but there are tabs as well on that. And then, yes, then lastly we put the ribbon and the buckle around. So let's get started. I don't know if we get to see my face too, sometimes that might be nice. Now I've got a lot of scrap here, but I'm going to try and get some greens that match, hopefully. Let's start by doing the top of the hat. So you're going to put your circle, whatever it is you found that fits your head very well, and place it on the construction paper. We're going to trace around it, but then we're not going to cut exactly around the tracing because we want to leave room for our tabs. Okay, so I'm not using the marker because I don't want to put marker all around the edge of my plate, although it would show better for you. All right, so I have my circle, but now when I cut it, I'm going to just estimate about 1 centimeter out from the circle and leave that extra. So we'll do that and then I'll show you. All right, and as you noticed, my leprechaun hat looks quite a bit like a top hat, so you can use this kind of method to create yourself a top hat as well. Okay, so there you see I left a little bit of room. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut little lines in all the way around toward the circle, but not cutting into that circle. Okay, so I'll do a couple. And then we'll pause it here so you don't have to watch the whole thing. And I leave, I don't know, maybe about 1 centimeter space. So this is what I'm doing here, right? I'm cutting these little tabs. Okay, so I will finish that off and be right back. Okay, so I've got all my little tabs here, and now it's going to be time to do a little bit of folding. So I'm going to think about which side I want to show on the top of my hat because I've got this marking here and I don't want that to show. So I'm going to be folding the tabs in this direction so that that will end up being on the bottom. So just gently all the way around, folding them inward. Okay, and the reason we're doing this is what the glue is going to stick to hold the pieces together. We're going to do something similar on the rim as well. Or the brim. I think it's called the brim. Anyways, okay, so this is the top and it's ready to go. All right, we're going to move on and we're going to get our brim. Why don't we do our brim now? So get another piece of paper and take your plate again. Now, my brim is not going to be very wide because my paper is not very big. But if you have bigger paper or you're going to put a few pieces together, that would be great. I don't know. I don't think I have anything much bigger for me to use, but you'll get the idea. Okay. So again, we are going to trace, but we're not going to cut where we traced. So try and center it because then it gives you, because this is going to be the edge of my brim and it gives me the most room on that side. Okay, so around I go. All right, so now what I'm going to do, and you can pen this or pencil this in if you'd like, you're going to make a circle that is a bit wider than the circle you have. And for me, this is going to be my maximum width because that's most room I have to work with. But you decide how wide you want your brim to be because that's what this bit is. It's how wide your brim is. All right, I'll do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have done that now. And now we're just going to cut that out. So cut along the wider circle, not the inner circle. Now, if you did want to make sure your circle was just perfect, you could always find a larger circle to trace, or you could measure the distance. I got a little bit of flat sides, but that's just trying to make my brim a bit wider. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut out some of the middle, but not the whole middle, because we want to leave a bit, maybe about 1 centimeter or so, for the tabs. Okay, remember I mentioned, and if you go really close, you might be able to see that there are some tabs under there that are helping to hold it together. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of this together. So, oh, by the way, cut in the middle, fold your paper, give it a little snip in there, and then it makes it easy for you to get inside. okay? So don't cut right where you've drawn. Give yourself about another centimeter for making your tabs. It's not exact, so don't worry. The part that needs to be pretty exact is our main circle that we traced. Okay, so this is what I've got, and now, oh hello. Now I'm gonna start doing little tabs. So I'll do just a couple for you here. So again, cutting in about 1 centimeter wide, cutting in towards this circle, but not cutting through that circle. So here is what I've got going on. All right, so I'll get those finished off and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got that all done, you can see, and now it's time to fold those tabs. So we're going to think about how this is going to sit on the hat, and probably you want to have any markings you have facing downwards. So that's what I'm doing, and then I'm folding the tabs upward, this time sort of towards the outside of the circle. Okay, work your way around. So we got to do the sides of the hat next. All right, so we got that. I'm going to set that aside. We got the brim. Okay, now here's the part you got to kind of be a little bit precise on to make it work. So with this circle that you had, we're going to find out the distance around this circle. So we can do, this is an easy-ish way to do it, although I should have brought some tape, or eeks, I got a mark where I started. Oh, hang on. Okay, I got my tape. So this is one method you can use to find the circumference, the distance around this circle, which is with a string. So I'm just taping it on one end so I know where I started, and I'm just holding the string around like so, and then I will cut the string when I'm done and measure the string. Now that's one method that you can use, but I just thought to myself as I was getting tape, if you have a measuring tape, this is great because it is a ruler that is flexible. So you may want to use this. Now, if you're very mathematically inclined, you might also use your formula. Circumference equals distance times, there's a song, pi r squared times the area. To me, if you need the circumference, you just use pi d. So you could also do that. But I am measuring around with my flexible measuring tape to see the size, and here I've got it. It is 23 inches for me. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that my length of my hat sides is going to be 23, or perhaps slightly smaller. So let's work on that. Now, my hat I made quite tall, but you can make yours shorter if you want. It doesn't matter the height. You decide on the height. Okay, so I'm getting a few pieces of darker green construction paper that I have. And you can tape together or glue together, because you're probably going to need a couple pieces. Unless you are a very small person, which some of you might be, you're probably going to need a few pieces to get the right. I'm going to do tape just to go a little faster, because glue takes time to dry, and I'll make the taped part be on the inside of my hat. Okay, so now I've got to take this and see, do I have 23 inches yet? Measure it, and I'm at 17 and a half. So I have to keep going. All right, I gotta put another piece on here. These are almost all the same height. Might have to do a little adjustment, but pretty close. Okay, so now tape this one. Tape's a little bit big. Okay, so let's check. Or maybe a little bit reinforcing tape on the ends here. Oh, I used clear tape last time, so I could also tape on the outside. But let's check the length of it. Now I'm past 23. Okay, so that's good. So now I just need to trim a little off, but be careful because you need a little bit of overlap, right, to attach the other two sides. So maybe I will trim it to 23.5 and just plan to overlap by 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm just doing a little bit of marking. And then this is a good part where you can be using your ruler. Get yourself a straight line here. Okay, and then we're going to cut that. Okay, now this bit becomes a little bit awkward because now you've got to make a tube and you're going to maybe do your reach inside and do your taping. Okay, so I'm going to see about how big 1/2 inch is, right? Because that's how much I was going to overlap. Or as I mentioned, if we make it a tiny bit smaller, like tighter, it's okay because well, maybe not too much, because one of our things has to go in it and one of our things has to go out of it. So I guess get it as close as you can. All right, 1/2 inch. Okay, I got a little tape there. Holding the fork down for me, and we'll add some more inside. Okay. So now you've pretty much got a tube. I think I'm actually going to grab some clear tape and do the outside so that it will hold a little better. What's going to happen, we're going to end up slipping this around the outside and we're going to end up pushing this through the inside. So we'll be right back to show you that. Okay, so we are ready now. We've got our tube and we're going to work on the top of the hat next. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to end up slipping it in here. I mean, you can practice it. I had just practiced it. But we're going to be putting some glue in. We're going to slip it in and we're going to push it all the way to the bottom, and that way these little tabs will be just inside. So what we're going to do first, and make sure that it's okay, your surface, whatever you're working on, that it might get a little bit gluey. Because we're going to line the whole inside all the way around with some glue. Okay, so that when we get it pushed down there, the glue is there waiting to hold it in place. So there might be a little bit of drippage going on onto your table surface. So you can see I've lined all the way around there with glue. Place the glue side down there. We're taking this tab sides sticking up, and it might take a little bit of fiddling. It went real good when I just practiced this. There we go, I got it in, and so I'm gently pushing it down, trying to keep it from tipping from one side or the other. But it should be fairly safe to push it down right to your work surface. Your sizing might not be perfect, but now go around on the inside and push those little tabbies. Oh, I can see some are sticking out a bit. Just kind of push them in so that they are touching the edge. Okay, so it's going to take a little while to dry and be perfect. Well, not perfect, but to be dry and be ready. So you can turn it over and you can do a little adjustments if you think you need to, if some edges came out too far or some not far enough. Okay, so there we go. our next step is to do something very similar for the brim. Everything was tangled. Okay, so now we got our top is on the top, right? Now we're going to be going around the outside in this way, okay? Now, if you find it's not quite fitting, and that's what I found before, and it starts to rip a little bit, you may need to just extend your tabs a little bit. So that's what I'm doing here on one side. I'm going to extend these tabs a bit, so hopefully it'll fit. This is a little bit too snug. Okay, I'm just going to adjust that, and then we'll test it again and see if it's going to be a little bit better. It looks like maybe just still a little bit too snug, or I didn't fold up those tabs enough maybe. Okay, so anyways, what you're going to need to do now, similar to what we did before, we're going to put glue all around the outside. So when we push it down, it's going to be ready to be glued on. So again, your work surface, make sure it's okay if it's going to be getting a little bit gluey. Okay, I'm going to put this upright because otherwise I'm just going to be rubbing glue all over my table. Okay, so all the way around, you've got your glue. Set it there. And then we're going to go on the top. Okay, gently work it down. If you're gentle, you should hopefully not get much for ripping. Okay, and you should be able to push it down right to your work surface, and then work your way around with your hand and just make sure that the tabs are touching the glue, just touching. So there we have it. Now you don't want to start wearing it yet. You've got to give it some time to dry, okay? Overnight even if you can. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a strip to go around and make the buckle. So this isn't too hard. Now if you've measured your hat, just move the hat out of the way a bit there, then you know how long it was around, right? The circumference. So for me, it was 23 inches. And I do want to do a little bit of overlap on that as well. So get yourself some yellow. If you feel the need to be precise, you may use a ruler. I'm going to try that and make my lines a bit straight. Thickness, width of it, totally whatever you feel works. I think I've seen some Leprechaun hats you could reverse what I've done with the yellow and the brown because they're sort of having a gold buckle. So you could do that instead. This is just the way I chose to do mine. And again, I'm trying to use up some scraps, so maybe I'll pause this while I get my scraps sorted out. Hang on. Alright, so I got my scraps sorted out here, and I am over 23 inches, which was my circumference, which is totally great. So what I'm going to do now is just put glue all over, and then I'm going to stick it onto my hat. Okay. So I'm gluing all in the middle of it. And then what I did before was just give the top of it. Well, and you know what? If you wanted, you could use real ribbon if you've got some real ribbon to add to it. Okay, so now I'm just going to wrap it around. And part of what you're trying to do here is you are trying to hide the little tabs. And nobody knows how you did that. Okay, oh, I think I was a little bit loose on that part, so we'll tighten that up. You might get some lovely gluey fingers, but that's always fun. Pretend you have dead skin that's peeling off after. Okay, so there it is. Now, last step is to pick which side you would like to be the front of your hat. Okay, and this may make a difference as to where you've got tape lines and where this join is. So I think this looks pretty good to be the front of my hat. So then I'm going to go for a buckle here. So for the buckle, grab yourself some brown, and you want to make sure that it is, you're going to cut out a little rectangle, and the width has to be smaller than your ribbon. Okay? At least if that's the look you're going for. And always be a little more creative. Oh, see, it's too fat. So I'm going to trim it down a bit. See, oh, even a little bit more I think I should do. And that's a bit too wide. Okay, so something like so. And now I'm going to cut out the middle. So I'm folding in half, and then I'm just doing that middle cut. So I cut like this. I got a little tab there, so now I'm going to cut, can you see that? So now I'm going to cut out that little tab. Okay, and then we're going to put, so we got that. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that and attach it to our hat. And you are fully ready to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. There we are. My hats always turn out tall, but I think they're not always so tall. So there you are. You've got your beard, you've got your hat, and you're ready to go. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a very happy St. Patrick's Day.